Have you ever bought a makeup product and it was so good that you went out and got more in different colors because you just had to have more of it? Well, that's what today's video is all about. Makeup that I like so much that I have multiples in different colors. I initially saw Risa Does Makeup do this video, and she credited Michelle Wong as the first creator to do it. And so I watched hers, and if you know Michelle, you know that she does focus on luxury and high-end makeup products, which is wonderful, and I would love to be able to buy some of the things that she recommends, but my version is going to be on the drugstore, more affordable end of things. So if that's where you're at, then hopefully this will be helpful to you. I've also seen Stephanie Marie and Tara Lynn do this tag, and so I just thought it would be really fun to look around my collection and see, what do I already have? Now, I didn't go out and buy anything to do this video. This is what is already in my inventory that I have purchased multiples of because I liked it so well. If I've counted correctly, I have 10 items or categories that I'm going to go through with you. And the first thing I have that I absolutely love is the Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream. This is the first tube of it I bought in the color 21. And it was a little bit light for me, but it's sheer, and so I can make it work, especially in the winter time. And then if I needed it a little darker, I would mix in a different foundation with it. But then I was at TJ Maxx one day, and they had them, and it's inexpensive anyway, but at TJ Maxx it was even more inexpensive. And so I got the 27 to mix in with this because that makes it the perfect shade for me. And then I was there another time and saw that they had the 23, and so this is actually my shade. So I use these two together to make it work. Sometimes in the summer I use this one all by itself, or I mix it with the 23. Anyway, the idea being that I love these so much that I have multiple colors of them so that it fits my skin no matter what time of year, no matter if I have sun or not, and I just love them. So the next thing I have is actually a category of items, and it'll make sense as I get into it. And that is e.l.f. primers. e.l.f. does primers so well. One that I love in the summertime is this e.l.f. Oil Control Primer Mist. And the way I use this is, it's got a little ball in there, so you shake it up. I spray it on my hand because it doesn't have a very good mist, unfortunately. Rub my hands together and then blot that into the T-zone, the center of my face. And that helps if you're oily to keep that oil under control. One of the very first e.l.f. primers I ever used was the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. And it is just one of those straight up silicone type primers. But honestly, it does what it says it's going to do. It gives you a poreless surface to put your makeup on, just blurs everything, gives that nice silicone slip. If you don't like silicone primers, you're not going to like it, but it just does what it's supposed to do. And then we have their gripping primers. I have the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer and the e.l.f. Gripping Primer. These are pretty much the same kind of thing. This one might be just a little stickier, a little tackier. I also really liked the e.l.f. Mint Melt Primer that was in this same kind of line category where it was a gripping, tacky type of a primer. I actually went through 2, maybe 3 of those gripping primers before I switched over to the Jelly Pop and then now the Power Grip Primer. So gripping primers, they do really well as also. And then of course they have their Putty primer line, and I just finished up a little mini of the Poreless Putty primer, but I actually like the matte Putty primer better. So just stuck my finger in it. So that's the one that I have here. And I have most recently purchased the Vitamin C Putty Primer, and I've used that just a few times. It has the same texture. It does the same thing, I think, as the Poreless Putty Primer does. I don't know about the benefit of the vitamin C in it because I don't use it every day because I use different primers for different things. And so I'm not sure if the skincare benefit is really all that important to me. And I like the matte a little bit better, especially in the summertime. So this might actually be something I appreciate more in the fall and winter when it's drier. We'll just have to see. It's not that I don't like it. It does just fine, but right now I like that matte one better. And then another one that I really enjoy using, and I'm not sure if it's even available anymore, is this Luminous Matte Makeup Primer. It's almost gone. I don't have hardly anything left in here. reminds me very much of the NYX Marshmallow Primer, but this is like $6 or $7 and the Marshmallow Primer is like $17. NYX is getting a little big for their britches, I think. And it just doesn't obviously have the marshmallow smell, but if you don't like fragrance, you might actually like that because this one just kind of smells like primer. And it is that typical, see if I can get anything out of here. It's that typical just white, almost like Elmer's glue kind of texture that just smooths and also hydrates a little. And Luminous Matte seems like an oxymoron, but it really does give a very pretty finish to the skin. So e.l.f. does primers very well, and I have many of them. Essence does blush really well, and I found myself with 4 Essence blushes. I have the Mosaic blush. This one is in All You Need Is Pink, and this gives such a pretty, just natural flush, if you're about my skin tone, to the cheeks that I think, I mean, it's a very good everyday, if you just had one blush, it could be this, and you would pretty much hit every situation because it's very neutral. It's not super cool tone, but then it's not warm tone, but it will go well with whatever you put on your eyes, I think. And then I have 3 of their Essence The Blush, and this one is Bespoke, and it's kind of a, actually, I think I'll swatch these. So the Mosaic blush is just this pretty mauvey pink color. Then we have Bespoke, and it's more of a brownish kind of a blush. You could almost use that as a contour if you wanted to. Then I have this pretty mauve called Believing, and it looks like that. Let's put that one under here. And that is a very pretty mauve kind of a tone. I look pretty with my eyes actually today. And if you are curious about what's on my eyes and my face, it is a collaboration I did with my good friend Erica Conger. If this video goes up first, then you'll have to wait to see it. So make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on so you don't miss it when it goes up. If it goes up after the collaboration, then I will link the collaboration down below. And then the final blush I have is Befitting, and it is also just super pretty. I just really like all of these. And that one's just a little bit warmer. It has a little bit of a peachy tone to it. So, blush is so good. I needed more. This next category is nail polish, and I don't have my nails done today. If I had been a better planner, I would have my nails done with one of these colors. But I discovered these at Dollar General, and when I used the first one and my manicure lasted 5 days, I went back and got more. And these are the LA Colors Color Craze Gel Polishes. And I have these 4 colors that are so pretty and so beautiful for summer. And then I also have an LA Colors Rapid Dry Top Coat that actually does dry them very quickly. They're kind of sheer, especially these 2. So I do need to do 2 good coats or 3 sometimes to make sure that it's all covered. But no kidding, 5 days. And I'm the kind of person who, when I paint my nails, I have chips within 12 hours. And it's almost not worth the effort. But these are, and they're super pretty colors. I do want to warn you, however, LA Colors has a color craze that is not the gel. Okay, this one specifically says gel right there. This is just the LA Colors Color Craze. These do not last as well as the gel does. So just so you know, if you accidentally pick up the Color Craze and you are like, what was she talking about? This only lasted like 2 days. Yeah, this one does not do as well, and I didn't realize that there was a difference. I think I already had this one, and I thought, oh, this purple's really pretty, and I got it home and I used it and it chipped in a couple days, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I realized it's not the same. So make sure you get the gel if you're going to get these polishes. Lip products are items that are easy to find yourself with multiples in a single brand. However, I found that most of the ones that I have multiples of, I have 2, generally a warmer tone and a cooler tone. So in order to make it into this video, I had to have at least 4 of something, and I have 3 somethings that I have 4 of. And the first is this Hard Candy All Matte Up Nourishing Lip Crayon. I love these. And I have the colors Blushed, Sticks and Stones, Earthy Marsala, and Private Beach. They dry down on your lips and they last a really long time. The crayon is so easy to apply. It twists up. You don't have to sharpen them. It does twist up and twist down. You can use them as a liner too. You don't need a liner with them. And just a great formula. They are not super drying, but yet they're matte. And like I said, I just love them, obviously, because I bought one and I loved it so much I went back and bought the other 3 colors that my Walmart had. Hard Candy All Matte Up Lip Crayons. Still in the lip products category, I have Essence Stay 8-Hour Lip Liners. This first one is called Mood. Next is Keep Receipts. It's a little bit more mauve. Then So Default, and that one is a little bit more of a orangey, peachy kind of a nude. And then finally here is Tea Time, and that's a little bit of a lighter, just nude color. They're so creamy. They really do last a long time, and I love them. And I'm trying to get them off with a makeup wipe, and it's not easy. So, just so you know. And then finally, the last lip product that I have 4 of is the Maybelline Superstay Ink Crayons. I have this pink one called Seek Adventure, a more mauve toned one, Stay Exceptional. And as you can see when I put these on, they're very creamy, easy to put on. I have this warmer toned one called Enjoy the View. And then finally, this little bit deeper nude, Trust Your Gut. Okay, it's a little bit lighter nude, but a little bit more brown. I love these. They're so pretty. They last really well, and they do not feel drying or like your lips are just becoming prunes when you put them on. To make the cut for a lip product, I had to have 4 of them, and those were the 3 things that I had 4 of in the lip product category. So that's 7 so far. And now I'm going to move into the category that you might have assumed would have taken up more of this video than just the last 3 spaces. But I did not want it to be all about eyeshadow. I wanted to really look and see what other products I had that I liked enough to buy multiples of, because we all know I love eyeshadow, right? So these I had to have quite a bit to be able to make it into the video. And the first of the 3 brands that I have a lot of is e.l.f. I have one of the e.l.f. larger palettes. I don't remember the name of this palette. I will put it on the screen when I'm editing and I look it up. But it is just kind of a warm, mostly neutral. There's a little bit of green and gold in here. And not e.l.f.'s best, I don't think. I got it on sale. Thank goodness. I think I got it for $7. I would have been really disappointed if I'd paid the full $14 for it. And I probably won't buy another one in this series like this, because what they do really, really well are their bite-sized palettes. And I have a lot of these. And I use them. And when I travel, I think I'll probably take several of these along, because the nice thing about them is they're so affordable, like $3 a piece, that if one were to get shattered when I'm traveling, it is not that big a deal. I can just always get another one. So let's go through real quick. I'll show you. I'm not going to swatch because that would take forever. We'll start from my most used and then go to the ones that are just kind of every now and then, or they might be more fallish, and so I'm not using them right now. The most used is Cream and Sugar. There's some pretty significant divots in those pans, and this is just so easy for an everyday eye look. Crease color, outer half of the eye, inner half of the eye, deepen up the outer corner, line under the lashes, and you're done. All one right there. If you were only to buy one, it would be this one that I would recommend, Cream and Sugar. Now, something that goes really well with a lot of these palettes is one of the newer ones, and that is I Love You a Latte. This one is all matte, and so these shadows are really nice. Perhaps you have one that doesn't have a good transition, and there are some like that. You can always use this for your transition, or maybe you need a lighter tone for the inner corner or your brow bone, and it's in here. So this is a great companion for a lot of them. Another one I use all the time is the Rose Water. I love these berry tones. Again, this one is good because it will give you a complete eye look. Transition, outer part of the lid, inner part of the lid, deepen up the outer corner, line under the lashes, done. So those are probably my 3 favorites. But I also really enjoy truffles. This gives you this color right here, and I'm not going to swatch much, but I want to show you that one, is a really pretty cool tone sparkle. And so these are a little warmer, but then you have this nice cool tone sparkle in there, and that's a pretty shadow, but it's again a little bit darker, so I may use that more like in fall, winter. And then pumpkin pie is so pretty for fall, but it's very deep. And so it's difficult to create a look just with this. But as I said, if you add this one in, then you have everything you need to make full use of this palette. And we have another berry toned one. This one's Berry Bad. And I enjoy using these two together to get everything that I want out of a berry toned eyeshadow. And then this one is such a pretty summer one. This is the Orange Dreamsicle. This gives such a pretty light summery look all by itself. But if you add in and you want to deepen it up a little bit, I Love You a Latte is a perfect companion for this as well. And then a couple of the more fun ones I have are, I don't know what I have on my finger. Excuse me while I clean myself up here. I love green eyeshadows, and these are some of the best green eyeshadows in my collection. This is the Hot Jalapeno, and you have a gold and then this pretty citrus kind of green, a deeper green, and then finally kind of a hunter green. Really, really pretty. And for a bit of fun and whimsy, I have the palette from the Mint Melt collection, the Mint to Be, and these are really pretty greens as well. When I use this one, I always use the Mint to Be Mint Shadow Stick to lay down a base first. It makes these shimmers, the sharpener just came out the end. It makes these shimmers just really pop. So these are excellent together. So those are my e.l.f. shadows. And now I'm going to move into my Colourpop shadows. That is my second largest eyeshadow collection. It's from Colourpop. Now, I did not purchase all of these. Some of these came to me in friend mail. Some of them were gifts for my birthday and that sort of thing. I am very grateful to the people who sent me gifts of makeup. This was actually my very first Colourpop purchase, the Going Coconuts, and it is just a neutral palette, a little bit on the warm side, and I love it. I've used it a lot. I have taken the glitter that was in here out and put in a different color that I like for the inner corner highlight. I have moved around some shades in my Colourpop palette, so this may not be exactly what you would get if you purchase this on the Colourpop site. And I think at the same time that I bought the Going Coconuts, I got the Baby Got Peach. And again, this one has been shifted around. And actually, I think I took a couple of shades out of a Face Candy palette, Milkshake or Smoothie, one of those that I thought would go really well with this color story, and put those in here instead of the pressed glitters. I do not like the pressed glitters. I almost never wear glitter anymore. Making Mauves was a gift from a friend, and this is just a really pretty berry toned color story. A lot like the berry tones that I showed you in the e.l.f. And I do use this and love it. That's Taupe, came with Making Mauves, and it's a little bit like Going Coconuts, but it's a little bit cooler toned. The Raw Beauty Kristi at Forest Sight palette. I love this palette. It is, whoops, I almost dropped all my Colourpop palettes on the floor. It is beautiful for fall. It has these deep kind of grungy greens and blues and berries, and it's just stunning. And I can't wait to use this more again this fall. The Flutterby palette is, let me see if I can do this without blinding you with the reflectiveness, is also in the pinks and berry tones. Yeah, sorry about that. There we go. And this is also just a really pretty palette. Give It To Me Straight is a more warm toned berry kind of palette, and this is really pretty. Even though it's the same size as the Flutterby, I think these shadows for some reason perform just a little bit better than the Flutterby does. So it might be that the Flutterby is just older, and so therefore maybe that's why they're not doing quite as well. This is a little bit larger palette, Through My Eyes, and it's a very colorful palette. I have used this a couple times. I really do like the greens that are in here, and there is a purple that I don't think I've used yet. I wanted to use that. Has some neutrals, but then these pops of color that you can just really kind of create. And I haven't played a lot with this one. I should bring this out and do a video with this one and see what I can come up with. My very favorite, I saved it for last because it's my favorite, Colourpop palette is the Stone Cold Fox palette. And this is just stunning. This was sent to me by a friend. I had mentioned that I'd wanted it, but that I couldn't afford the $34 to purchase it on Jen Phelps Makeup Group. And someone there kindly sent me this palette. And I'm so very grateful. I use it a lot. It's just all of the colors that I love. These neutrals, you've got the rosy tones, the grays down the middle, kind of taupes, and there's just nothing about this that I don't love. If I had no other Colourpop palettes, I would want this one. An interesting activity that I might do someday is to swatch out this with Flutterby, Going Coconuts, and that's taupe, and maybe making mauves, and seeing how many of those 4 palettes I can find in this one. And finally, for number 10, did anyone guess that it was going to be my BH Cosmetics palettes? Because those are the ones that I have the most of, and I'm a little bit surprised at how many I have. I have 11 BH Cosmetics palettes. We're going to start with the littlest ones and work up to the big ones. And the first one is Flower Power. This is not BH's best formula, but it's okay. These are smaller pans and it takes a little bit more building up, but if you're new to eyeshadow, sometimes having something that's not quite as pigmented can be really helpful in order to not get just too much and then not know what to do with it. But it's really pretty colors and I enjoy it a lot. Then I have several of the 16 pan palettes. The breakfast series, we have the Avocado Toast. And if you like greens, this is the palette for you because these greens in here are just stunning and you have plenty to put with them to create a look. You can go more with the yellows and the oranges, or you can go into the pinks and peaches and just really create a stunning, stunning green look with this palette. Blueberry Muffin is the blue version of this breakfast series, and what I like about it is it's not just blue. There are some taupey colors in here and some neutrals. So if you're not all in on blue, you can use it for a pop of color and feel a little more comfortable perhaps as you dip your toes into the blue waters, especially if you came out of the 80s and using blue make you feel like you're going to a Cyndi Lauper concert. Then I have several of the Travel Series palettes, and the first one I have is the Hanging in Hawaii. And this is just a really pretty neutral, kind of warm-toned palette. You could go pink, you can go bronzy, copper, that sort of thing in here, and these are just really pretty. The formula of these 16 pan palettes is excellent. And as everybody probably knows, Makeup Revolution bought BH, and we're all hoping that they keep this formula. Smitten in Switzerland, I think, was my second BH palette I ever bought. And this one is just gorgeous. It is so versatile. So many different options that you could come up with in here. I think I could easily do a 7 looks 1 palette with this one palette because it's that versatile. Lost in Los Angeles is such a fun summer palette. All of these bright pastels, and I've used this a lot. I think I did a video with this one, creating a summer pastel look, and I just love it. It's just so much fun. Love in London was my very first BH Cosmetics purchase, and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it for months before I finally pulled the trigger on it. You can see that this was my transition shade, and I just love this palette. It is a little bit deeper, but you can get a lot of variety out of this as well. And then Summer in Saint-Tropez is probably my least used palette out of this series because it is so bright. I like the Lost in Los Angeles a little better because the colors, while they're bright, they're a little more muted. This one gets pretty pigmented pretty fast, so I haven't used it a lot, but I do want to play with it a little bit more. I don't do a lot with reds, and that's way outside my comfort zone. So maybe one of these days I'll have to challenge myself to use the red tones in here and see what I can come up with. Another one that I absolutely had to have that I bought early on was the BH Opalescent palette. And this is really a pretty neutral palette with some pinks and this little bit of purple in here. As I was getting started with larger palettes and doing more of that sort of thing, this was a good introduction to it. Again, it's more like the other round pan as far as formula, and so it's not as good as the Travel Series, but it is still a good palette, and the colors are really pretty. It provides a great companion palette to some other colorful palettes because it has so many good neutrals in it. The BH Naughty palette was the holiday palette two Christmases ago, and these colors are just stunning. When I got it, I used it for a week straight. I challenged myself to use nothing but this palette for a week and come up with a different eye look every day. And it was so easy to do that because there is so much variety in this palette. And these shimmers are just stunning. I mean, this green, wow. So soft, so pretty, so easy to transfer to the eyes, and just amazing. And then my most recent BH purchase is the Zodiac palette, and I found this at TJ Maxx, and I absolutely love it. These baked shimmers are super gorgeous. There's a highlighter here in the center that is just beaming, and then we have some mattes that you could create just about any eye look you would want with this. A lot of times I will pull this out just to bring in one of these shimmers to complete a look that just needs a little bit more and this one will do it for me. So those are my BH Cosmetics palettes, and those are the 10 makeup products that were so good I had to have more. If you want to keep watching more of my content, then I'm going to have YouTube put some videos up here you can click on and keep doing that. I hope that you have a beautiful, blessed day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.